Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Tony and this is my channel where I talk about my journey through life with cancer and, other things. So we're trying this again. Yesterday I got almost done videoing and the dogs, I don't know what happened, but bottom fell out and they're barking and it was just crazy. So, and as you remember, if you've been here before, I don't edit these because I want this to be a true representation of what my life is like with the after effects of chemo, with the chemo brain and all that sort of stuff. So, but today we're going to talk about a support group. And I'm not talking about, your husband and your wife or your kids and your friends. I'm talking about an actual cancer support group. I initially wasn't going to join. Let me back up a minute. When I went to my chemo ed class and my first chemo, the social worker there at Methodist came and talked to me, and she gives me this big old pack of information. And in there was a list of different breast cancer support groups, and that obviously the one that they have is up there in the med center, and that's just a long drive. So I looked at the other ones, and there were two down here where I live, and I didn't go. So didn't go in November, didn't go in December, and in January I thought, okay, I need to talk to somebody because my friends and my family, they were very supportive, but they just didn't understand. And so I started going to a support group, a breast cancer support group, right around the corner from my house. It's at UTMB. And the social worker there, Sharon, welcomed me. The whole group welcomed me with open arms. I went in and, it was the first one of the year and everybody was kind of telling their story. And it's, and I know how everybody feels because I was in their shoes and they were in my shoes. So went to that one. The bad thing was I left there. We stayed after and I was talking to a couple of the ladies and I literally, y'all, it scared the hell out of me. I cried for 3 days. Like, I seriously cried for 3 days. And my husband asked me, he goes, are you going to go back? And I'm like, I can't go do that again. And it wasn't, I think it's the fear of the unknown, because another girl and I, we both finished our chemo within a week of each other. She had her surgery first. She had I think a unilateral mastectomy, and then did the chemo, and then was moving on to radiation, whereas I did chemo, then I did surgery, and then I did radiation. But there were some other ladies in there that were doing radiation, and they had the darkening of their skin on their neck, and seeing how bad they felt, and I'm like, oh, holy crap, this is what I'm gonna have to deal with next. And that's, it's scary. And I was scared. I'm not lying. So I wasn't going to go back. Well, then February comes around. I had my surgery, and the next week was a support group, and I wasn't going to go. And then I thought, you know what? I really need to go. I need to do this because I need to talk to somebody. I can't keep it all bottled up. And you can only, I'm trying to think how to say this, but your friends ask how you're doing, and you're like, I'm fine. You're not fine. There's a meme going around Instagram or Facebook or I don't know. Anyway, and it says, raise your hand if you say I'm fine, because nobody else will understand. And I'm like, that's this girl. Because people are like, how are you? And I'm like, I'm fine. I wasn't fine. I was so far from fine. I was crazy. But, I knew they wouldn't understand. So why say, oh, I feel like crap, when they just don't understand why they understand that you feel like crap, but they don't understand all the parts that play into it. So I decided to go back, because at least when I'm talking to this group of ladies, they understand because they've been there. I could say, okay, IT, what happens when, I said IT, IK, duh. What happens when this? Or, hey, Jennifer, how did you feel after this? Or, it's just, it's nice to be able to talk to somebody who understands what you've been going through. So, anyway, then that was February, March. I don't think we had a meeting in March because I think COVID happened. And so we were doing it by Zoom, which is that, and that's still good, you know, because you still get to talk to people. You still get to, you know, interact with them and hear how they're doing and how they're dealing with, you know, with everything that's been going on, the pandemic and all that crazy stuff. And we've been doing Zoom calls, and I think it was last week we had, you know, time is relative when you're stuck at home all the time. But we had a meeting last week, and I wasn't feeling it. And it was funny because someone said, Tony, you're awfully quiet. And I just, the week before I had my port out, it hurt. So I don't know, like, I'm going to say like 2 months ago or 3 months ago, when I was in getting my shot, the nurse practitioner comes down and I'm like, okay, I need something, like, you know, because I knew I had like depression, anxiety was becoming an issue. On top of having cancer, then you've got to deal with COVID, and it really is overwhelming. And we're just sitting there talking. I said, and Lonnie, when are my fingers going to stop hurting? She goes, what? And she goes, what do you mean they're hurting? I'm like, man, they just throb all the time. Well, I thought it was because my fingernails were so thin. My feet throb all the time. Well, I have neuropathy, and it's not like neuropathy typically is tingling and then you get numbness. Well, I don't have that. I just have this incessant throbbing. So she put me on some medication. I don't remember what it was, and it worked. Well, then 6 weeks later, I go in and they were putting me on tamoxifen. Well, when you take tamoxifen, you can't take this original thing I was on for the depression, anxiety, neuropathy. So then they change it. So there's a point to the story. So on our call last week, I was talking about, I'm like, y'all, I just, you know, I'm just not, I knew I was kind of going down a hole, and I knew that I was starting to get depressed again. And the anxiety, like I would lay in bed and my mind just, you know, the anxiety was getting to me, and my feet and my hands just hurt all the time. And so they're like, you know, talking about what medicine I was on, and they're like, oh, no, you can't take that, you know, because when I took the tamoxifen, they had to change me to a new medication. The new medication, so medication number 2 wasn't working. And I'm like, well, you know, I see the doctor, and they're like, email the doctor, find out. And so, you know, these are drugs that, you know, could help or whatever. So anyway, you know, talking to them, they know because they've been through it. I mean, you know, I could tell you, hey, you know, this is what I'm on and whatever, but it's not working. And, you know, to find out that, you know, to hear that what other people are taking, and people have been through it, and just their guidance, and, you know, okay, let's think about this. And, you know, you get to celebrate milestones, and, you know, when someone ends radiation and they send a text message to all of us and we all celebrate together, or one of the girls got her nipples tattooed, and, you know, we all got to celebrate together because, you know, who else, if I called my friend and said, hey, I just got my nipple tattooed back on, they'd be going, what? You know, so, but we understand what it's like to you know, lose a breast, or, you know, it's crazy. And it's not just breast cancer. It doesn't matter what kind of cancer you have. Find a support group, because you really do need it. So anyway, that's my public service announcement for today. Try to find a support group and talk to somebody. And if you know you're kind of going down a rabbit hole, y'all get help, because you don't have to do this alone. And there's nothing wrong with having, you know, taking some medicine for the time being. There's nothing wrong with it. You know, we all suffer, we all struggle, and it's okay to ask for help. And I've said that before, like, ask the help from others, you know, when you need help doing stuff. But it's also it's good to ask for help from your doctors when you need help mentally, because it really is. This is a journey, and this is a club I don't wish on anybody. So anyway, take advantage of the support groups and find one that works for you. If you go to one and you don't really like it, try another one. So anyway, there you go. That's my public service message for today, and I hope to see y'all on the next one. Bye.